Hello boys and girls, this is Andrew, of course, and welcome back to another Battlefield 4 video. This time we're gonna review all of the carbines in Battlefield 4. As usual, I only get about 100 to 200 kills with them, so this is like a first glance, first impression kind of review. I will be doing in-depth reviews of every single gun where I unlock all of the attachments to them to basically check if they work better or worse with some attachments than others, and basically what makes them as good as possible. So make sure to subscribe if you aren't already to see those when I release them later. Okay, the first gun we're gonna take a look at is the AK-5C, and remember guys, since these are carbines, they're not really meant to be used at long range firefights, so basically all of these guns are either good at both short range or mid range or just one of them. The AK-5C is kind of a jack of all trades. It does basically everything a carbine should do good, quite well actually. It has a decent rate of fire, it has a quite quick reload speed, both empty and full, it has a nice hip firing spread, and it also is quite accurate and easy to control since the rate of fire is not too high. You can quite easily mow down enemies at short to mid range, even on the full auto, but I do prefer the tap firing method as usual. The second gun you unlock of the carbines in Battlefield 4 is the ACW-R, and this is one heck of a powerful little beast in close combat. I gotta say, the best thing about this gun is the extremely high rate of fire. It's kind of like a mini FAMAS. It just mows down everything at short range. However though, due to the high range of fire, it does lack at the medium range engagements. You really gotta be careful, tap that trigger and not shoot too many rounds, otherwise it's gonna perform like a wild stallion simply. It has a really quick reload time, so that's a really good thing, and it got a quite decent hip firing spread, but like I said, it is let down by its accuracy at medium range to long range. It is definitely not a gun for the longer ranges, but overall it is a really nice carbine. The third gun you unlock in Battlefield 4 of the carbines is the SG-553, and this is also kind of like the AK-5C. It's a jack of all trades. It kind of does everything quite well. The only thing that separates this from the AK-5C is really the rate of fire and the reload speed when you're empty. The rate of fire is a little bit higher on this gun than on the AK-5C, so it's a much better gun for close combat, but also makes it a little bit less accurate at long range. It has a decent hip firing, and of course due to the high rate of fire it is quite good at short range. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the ACW-R, and this gun has pretty much exactly all the same pros and cons as its big brother in the assault class. It has a low rate of fire, so it's not the greatest gun at short range, but you can hold it steady whilst you go full auto on short to medium range, and you might even get a few nice shots in if you don't go all wild with it at longer range, and you can't really do that with many carbines. But of course then it also has its drawbacks, kind of a slow reload speed when you're completely empty. It's overall a decent carbine. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the A91. It's quite similar to the ACW-R in the fact that it has a higher rate of fire compared to other carbines, but it has its pros and cons as well. So compared to the ACW-R, this gun has a lower reload speed, so you're gonna reload slower, and it also has a lower rate of fire, so it's not as good in close combat, but it has some good things too about it. Thanks to being a bullpup design, the hip fire accuracy is a lot better with this gun than the ACW-R, and also thanks to the decreased rate of fire, you can still have a good fight in close combat, but also get a few shots in at medium range with this gun. Next gun we're gonna look at is the ACE-52 CQB, and this is kind of a jack of all trades rifle as well, I would claim. The only difference though is that it only has 26 rounds in the magazine with one in the chamber, and it does 45 damage per bullet instead of the normal 30. So if you make your shots count with this rifle, you can perform very well with it, especially since it has a decent firing rate, it has decent hip firing and decent accuracy. I wouldn't claim this will outshoot most assault rifles at range, because it's still just a carbine, so it's not super accurate, but still a nice little gun to play around with. The next gun we're gonna take a look at is the G36C, and this is also kind of a jack of all trades. It has a normal 30 rounds in the magazine, it has a decent reload speed, it's not super quick and it's definitely not super slow. It has a medium rate of fire, so it's not gonna be the best gun for close combat situations, but basically everything that is mid-range it's gonna perform well. It is quite accurate, the recoil is quite manageable, and I think that is why it was one of the favorite guns to use in Battlefield 3 for the engineers, simply because it kind of works in all situations and it's kind of easy to learn how to use, and that's why I recommend it. The next gun we're gonna look at is the M4. It is the only carbine that doesn't have a fully automatic mode on it. It's only single fire or burst mode. Burst mode has some pros and cons. I would say the best things about it is if you click quick enough, you can shoot really quickly with it and still be quite accurate. So it's really good at both short range and medium range. You can easily kill assault rifles and LMGs and that kind of thing. And the same thing with medium range as well. The only problem is if you click it too quickly, it's gonna kind of jam on you and stop firing for half a second. I don't know why DICE doesn't fix that, or if it's implemented on purpose, but it also has a really quick magazine reload time. Okay, the next gun we're gonna take a look at is the ACE-21 CQB. It's a lot like its big brother in the assault class as well. It has 21 rounds in the magazine, does 30 damage per bullet. I think it's 780 rounds a minute, so it's quite a decent gun in close quarters, but it also has quite good accuracy when it comes to the hip firing, but also quite good accuracy when it comes to aimed fire at medium range. It's not really something you would use for longer range engagements, it simply has a too high of a rate of fire for that, but it's a decent gun. Okay, the last gun we're gonna take a look at is the Type 95B/1, and it is a bullpup design carbine, and I gotta say this is one of my least favorite carbines. This is one of the ones I performed most poorly with. This is more the kind of a carbine you would use if you like to camp a lot and sit still in a corner and shoot people at range, because it's completely useless in close combat. It is quite decent at medium range, it doesn't have a very quick reload speed, it has a good hip fire accuracy, but since it's such a slow rate of fire, it's virtually unusable in close quarters anyways. Okay, time for the summary of the review, where I pick my favorites. Honestly, this has been one of the hardest reviews so far, simply because these weapons all perform so very well, except for the lost weapon we reviewed, of course. That's just a piece of shit in my opinion. But the rest of them perform really well, they do their task really well. There's not really a weak gun in the bunch, and there's not really a king of the hill. There's just like ones that I personally prefer just a little bit more than the other ones. I'm definitely gonna have to go more in depth and try these guns out with all of the attachments, change the attachments around, change scopes and similar, change ranges I use them at and that kind of thing. But favorites have to be picked. This is after all a review, and my personal opinion is that the ACW-R is the best close combat carbine of them all. It simply has such a high rate of fire. Just make sure you watch out for that kick, because it kicks like a mule, but the best thing about it really is the high rate of fire and the really quick reload time. The best jack of all trades I personally think right now is the SG-553. It is just a quick reloader, it has a high rate of fire, not too high though to make it unviable for medium range engagements, so that's my favorite jack of all trades. And my favorite gun for medium range to long range engagements is definitely the ACE-52 CQB. Thanks to the high damage output, you simply don't have to get as many bullets on target to kill them at longer ranges. So as usual, if you guys enjoyed the review, make sure to leave a like, maybe favorite or share it. Have a wonderful day, bye bye.